Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Let's begin with visiting some moist holes. Thank you there, Drew, and all of our co hosts in the live chat. Um, we're going to visit some of the most notable locations within the abyss, within the Planescape arena of the multiverse. And our first journey from the very top layer down through like 100 is our introduction to the abyss. We get a lot of like portal realms and the river Styx and the demon web pit and that kind of thing. Basically a travel log, if you will, of the abyss. Yeah, yeah. Like Juice's Planescape, though, it's just it's a plan escape. Um, and the End King actually makes a point saying that if you're going down that far, at what point are you running an Abyss campaign and not a Planescape one? And I absolutely agree with that complete sentiment. Right? It's I feel like the layers of the Abyss kind of translate into a classic mega dungeon, if you will. Very much like, hey, I'd like to have an aquatic layer and then a swampy layer and then a mountainous area and things like that. Yeah, Happy Infinite Torment Day Part 4. Yeah, it's very much like that. And who's to say you couldn't have an abyssal campaign? And essentially the abyss is kind of like um not just a dumping ground, but like if you want it to exist in the multiverse and you also want to attach it to some semblance of belonging in a location and not just coming up with some random, oh, it exists outside the planescape or something. Basically, that's where the abyss comes in, especially if it's a very dangerous location. So uh, 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 give me the opportunity to introduce you to some of the layers between 101 and 200, and you're going to see a lot of these are like, oh, we went past a little smattering of the abyss, and now we're getting into like actual contested locations or locations that are planes levels that are the embodiment of like a specific contested demon lord or something like that. And in a weird way, um the layers of the abyss very much seem like, okay, so here's this a-hole who came down here who wanted to make this place and try to carve themselves out their own kingdom, like becoming like godlike, and then realize maybe you're godlike on your own plane of existence, but everywhere else you're pretty much a pain in the ass to everyone else, and you get this cycle of them leaving, trying to prove their worth. Everyone smacks their asses around. They go back down in the abyss, and then that cycle keeps going on. So we're not going through exactly 100 of them, or maybe it would be 99. But let me start out. Here we go. Layer 111, the mind of evil. And let's see. Let's see if I can copy this because my ass is not going to um, be able to even pronounce this thing. Let's see. Let me paste this right here. Yeah, yeah. I dare you guys to pronounce that. Sh- 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 I don't know. Yeah. The End King says, imagine someone trapped in the abyss planning to escape into hell for a vacation. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of chaotic evil entities and stuff going, this place fucking sucks. I'm out. Give me some rules. Yeah, water levels are fitting for the abyss. People hate those in video games. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you've got just heard that they are greenlighting a live action Zelda movie. So hopefully we'll see lots of successfully navigated water levels in that. Uh, Actually, Zelda, let's be honest, there's a bunch of Zelda environmental puzzle features that would make excellent landscapes for role playing games. Let's not get that twisted. Yeah. Yeah, a classic 95% unsurvivable mega dungeon with a layer of nothing but acid burn sharks, acid porn sharks. Yeah. Yeah, they're not just sharks. Thanks, Drew. It's easy to pronounce. Okay, here we go. Um, let's see. The mind of evil, the realm of the demon lord, blank, the serpent reborn, believed to be the creator of the Yuan Ti race. I also find that I don't know if this was put together by different creators, but you remember in the original Dungeons and Dragons, damn near like 75% of the monsters were wizard creations. And the Abyss happens to be like one of those, hey, we don't have a really good reason for this thing existing, so it probably came out of the Abyss. And I mean, you're going to hear this a lot like, oh, this might be where oozes came from. This might be where Yuan Ti and troglodytes and trolls and all. I don't know. I think that's a little bit lazy, but I also think maybe it's because so many people had their hands on the canon that they didn't see what the other people did, and so that came about. Anyway, boom, boom, believed to be the creator of Yuan Ti race, the layer was sentient but insane and chaotic and whirling. However, merging with the chaotic plane ruined the demon lord's sanity and the layer. He could still send out a minor fragment of his psyche that would reform in 111 days if destroyed elsewhere, corresponding with the layer's level 111. Magic is nullified on the layer, and anyone trapped there was at the mercy of an insane living dimension. Most planar travelers know of the danger of this realm, and so the mind of evil is avoided at all costs. So it's basically a Yuan Ti mindscape. It's just crazy. Then there's layer 113, Thanatos. This layer is a land of death and ruin. You're going to see who's part of this layer, with sterile heaths, black forests, and desolate mountains filled with ruins and scattered tombs inhabited by a variety of undead. The demon lord Orcus, the prince of undeath, rules Thanatos from his seat in the ever-lost palace, a castle made of obsidian and bone located in a vast wasteland called Oblivion's End. He's had many confrontations with other demon lords and extraplanar travelers, and including for a few centuries, Orcus was cast and forced to flee to the demon web layer. Orcus maintains a second layer in a fortress city, the city of the dead. It is quiet, cold, and mostly empty. A mostly empty city, except for occasional wandering undead, surrounded by icy moat fed by the river Styx. Funny how the river Styx gets around so much. Um, so some sources count this layer as layer 333, which I would probably say maybe 113 and 333 are probably one and the same. Then there's layer 128, the slug bed. Hear what that sounds like. Layer of expanse forest, shallow seas, underground caverns, always covered in fog under a faintly lit sky. Is the realm of the demon lord, the Baron of Sloth, Lupercio, who slept most of the time in a dung-filled area covered in utter darkness, and is inhabited by shadow demons and fiendish gastropods. And here's a strange thing. On rare occasions, the sun shines feebly through the fog on the layer, revealing glimpses of majestic, angelic castles on cloud tops. A possible attempt by the angels to take advantage of Lupercio's slumber in order to convert the layer into a bastion of good. Layer 137 is Outcast N, a realm of the demon lord Azazel, Prince of Scapegoats. Layer 142 is Lifebane, realm of the god of the undead. Uh, I think Orcus would probably have a problem with that one. Again, contested. Layer 148 is Torrent. Lordship over this layer is contested. There's a layer 176 known as Hollow's Heart. This layer contains the realm of the demon lord Fraz Erblu, the prince of deception and demon lord of illusions. Fraz Erblu's realm used to cover the entire layer until the demon prince was imprisoned for over 2 centuries in the world of Oerth. Oerth. Oerth is Greyhawk. Um, Upon his return, he found the layer to have been destabilized, becoming little more than a featureless, flat expanse of white dust under a starless black sky with with very few structures scattered on it. Basically, first Fraz Erblu was the dimension until cast out, and now the Demon Lord's lair is located at the center of the continent-sized reconstructed area, a circular walled city of adamantine walls and impossible architecture, with a big oozy body taking over the whole thing. Layer 177 is the Writhing Realm, realm of the Squirming King. Doesn't go into much detail on that one. Layer 181, the Rotting Plane. Layer is the realm of Leogzed, the patron god of troglodytes. The layer was dominated, or is dominated, by a constant nauseating stench throughout a vast, baking, hot savannas and shallow swamps. The Demon Lord's personal lair is a cavern complex he constantly prowls, searching for things to devour. Whatever he devours would become one with the plane itself, so the planes are used by other Tanari as a permanent dumping ground. It's probably pronounced Tanari. Tanari. I'm trying to put that apostrophe in there. Anyway, there's another dumping ground. Everything he eats, he shits back out in the plane. Layer 191 is a fountain of screams. This layer had no ruler. Fountain of screams. Oof. And lastly, layer 193, Vulgaria, the realm of Eshbala, the goddess of foxwomen. And we're going to end right there. All right. So, as you can see, a lot of these. Thank you, Ethan. Yeah, hello. We're still in the abyss. Love it. All the layers are just amazingly weird and horrifying. Absolutely. And let's be honest. As we go deeper, again, a lot of different creators have touched their hands on it. We get into realms where the patron saints of all these evil things we see in our fantasy worlds maybe have begun their lives here, or it's a feedback loop where we see oozes in the world, and there's a patron saint of oozes, and the oozes come out into the world, and then they leave their plane and they come back to become oozes or whatever. So if you want an excuse for some kind of evil demonic entity, we also know. Mike's like, I was taking Fetish gastropause for reflux. Yeah, with a laundry list of side effects on the back of the bottle. Yeah. Oh man, funny. I have to agree with that. Yeah, talking about the Zelda movie, live action movie. Yeah, equals a new layer of the abyss where your childhood is destroyed even more more thoroughly than ever. Yeah, because I'm sure there's probably somebody in a room who's like, I'm a big fan of this, and here I've got a great idea. And then there's 1,000 other voices going, yeah, but how are we going to put the product placement in there? The Demon Lord blank. Not the blank, it is blank. Yeah, I get you. I know you're being funny there, Mike. I know you're busy. Thanks for stopping by. Thinking says, not sure if this happened for anyone else, but your video and audio aren't synced anymore. Really? Let's check the stream health here. I'm showing good. It's green for me, so sorry. Let's see. Shai says, Mad Max Fury Road, Escape from LA, Ghostbusters. Yeah, Indiana Jones 4 and 5, abominations that can't be explained why they exist. He must be from the abyss. I like Mad Max Fury Road. I'm a big fan of that one. Maybe not the journey it took to create it, but I liked it. I like the Mad Max being the conduit to tell other stories. That's just me. The Yankees says Thanatos is the Greek god of death. Sucks for him that he's been turned into an evil land. Well, listen, it's the abyss. They stole it, right? It's like, no, I'm Thanatos. No, I'm in the land of Thanatos. I stole your name. Mike says, honestly, a full adventure about navigating the sticks from plane to plane would be great. Yeah, we were talking about, it also makes a, a pretty good excuse to put your players like in a boat traveling through the plains. Maybe they're on a fetch quest to gather people or find places or gather things and take it back upriver or something or whatever. Although I guess it doesn't matter how the river flows. There are no physics, so yeah. Drew says, so if one follows the river down the drain that is abyss, then you will visit every layer. It doesn't. It's been described that the river Styx really only visits the top layer, and then you have to navigate the abyss in other ways. But then you start reading, and you're like, wait a minute, why are all these other planes attached to the river Styx? So yeah, it really doesn't make much sense. But there are layers. What's the very first layer known as Pazunia, and then there's the fourth layer, the Grand Abyss, and both of those layers are your MacGuffin layers to give you access to the lower layers. And that's if you want to like marry yourself directly to the canon. You don't have to. The river Styx going to every layer, I think, makes perfect sense. Maybe the river can get more violent, or it becomes far more difficult for the players to even survive stepping onto that layer. So yeah. Mike says layer 222 will be fun. Contested between Jubilex and Zogdmoy. Oozes, yeah, for gluttony and rot for sloth, a war that bled into the Underdark. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You start getting further and further down. It's like Fury Road I never watched to defend my childhood from the hell and demon fire. It's got to be pronounced that way too. Demon fire. Thunderdome brought the series to a perfect conclusion. I won't watch any spin-offs that will make me want to jump into the sticks. Out of all of those, I think we would be on the same page that Fury Road itself is so well made that you'll forgive it. It's a masterpiece of direction and creativity. It really is. I honestly. Now, how do you explain Mad Max being out there? Mad Max being used as a MacGuffin for storytelling is basically how the movie's made. The movie is brilliantly plotted and put together. It's not a lot of words, but visually it explains everything. It's near brilliant. So Mike says, so does the sticks only connect the lower planes? Is there a separate conduit for the upper planes? You know what? They don't really go into it. I think the river Styx is basically an excuse for adventure. I mean, how many bloody, murder kill much hoboing can you do in the upper lawful and good planes? Not very much, right? So all the adventure happens in the lower planes. Let's be really honest with it. The upper planes, while I can see the adventure in it, and we're going to go into much of the adventure in the upper planes and what you can do and kind of get away with some of the excuses for having darker elements. There we go, man. The lights. Wow. um, I still think you can still have a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm with Mike there with comparing yeah Fury Road with the Road Warrior. It your feelings will not get hurt watching it, but I get why you want to avoid it. You're like, fuck, did they do it? Ruin this nostalgia porn, right? It's very much like that. All right. Oh man, yeah, seduction of production. All right, so Um, Adventure wise, why go down to layers 101 to 200? Well, for one, if we think of it as tiers of adventure, so we've got our beginning characters, and we've arranged what kind of interactions we're going to have, and we want to adventure down low. Your first tier characters levels 1 through 100 pretty easily, right? We give them a smattering of what the abyss is like, some of the chaos. We come up with some rules. As a matter of fact, I don't want to get up and get the book. But anyway, um, it gives you instructions. If you read original second edition Planescape, just casting certain types of spells, like necrotic spells or divination spells or alteration spells, uh, you they are very much modified down in the lower planes. Well, in all of Planescape itself, and players who are not used to having the resources that are printed on their character sheet are going to have a lot of problems in Planescape, and they really don't go into that at all in the new release in fifth edition, because it's basically a power fantasy. But in original Planescape, you had to become very creative. An example would be if you used a spell, any kind of conjuration spell, you were limited by what you could conjure, because if you try a conjuration spell, you're technically opening up a portal to summon something from the plane you're on, and the thing you summon looks back at you, and it's like, I want to summon a familiar. You might be taking a small pet from a demon lord. And a demon lord, a Baylor or a pit fiend or something is like, dude, what are you doing? That's I've raised this thing for a millennium. Like, you better feed it right, return it when you're done. There's things like that. Some of it is story wise, but also some of it is a little complicated. They do hint in the fifth edition release. They do hint that, like, some if you summon elementals or familiars or other creatures, that you keep summoning the same thing, or when depending on if you go to different planes of existence, you may summon something different, but it's the same different thing. So instead of summoning a fairy, you might summon a fire elemental, or an imp or something of that nature, and the imp may show up for the third time and is like, dude, why don't you just ask me? you know The Ant King says, This is a bit random, but I decided that if I ever played in a Spelljammer campaign, I'd want to be Odysseus, who still thinks he's traveling the river Styx." Ah, yeah. The Odysseus cast out there for a generation, couldn't get home because of offending Neptune and doing some other things. Yeah, Mike says Malekith, demon queen of succubi, has a residence on one plane in the abyss and one in hell. She's the only one in my knowledge that pulled that trick successfully. Grat started as a devil. There's a lot of and this is something I don't know why I didn't realize this. The abyss is so chaotic that there are a number of inhabitants who were never chaotic evil in the first place. And there are chaotic evil residents that have kind of like deviated from their either chaos or evil to go out, and I think that's actually kind of cool to do that, to, like, make the abyss a little bit more dynamic if you want to, if you really wanted to make it an abyssal adventure, and flip the script on the players when the players are like, I cast no alignment or something like that, and you're like, oh, they're neutral evil, and you're like, neutral evil, I thought the plane was chaotic evil, and it's like, yeah, that's what you think, but the chaos of the plane actually brings more chaos to it than we even think. Drew says every layer of the abyss should directly relate to to characters' levels. So if you go down to layer 101, then you will face challenges ratings of 101 as well. Players won't like that, which I think is funny. Um, you know, do you want to save or die at levels? Maybe not. Oh man, oh you guys are so funny. But I think I think having characters have to make hard decisions is a good feature of role playing games. I don't think it's something that should be sanitized. So I do have a problem with, like, taking away consequences, long-term consequences. Yeah, she was Asmodeus, either Asmodeus or Asmodeus's consort. So yeah, yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Every layered abyss is portrayed. Malekith, queen of succubi, has a residence on one plane in the abyss and one in hell. For a little while, they hemmed and hawed over succubi and incubi. Like, are they lawful evil or chaotic evil? And I think they came to the decision that they aren't any of that. That their changing nature makes them changing in their alignment and stuff. They correspond to what's necessary. Hey, producer. Thank you, Sophie Soaps. I love you too. So, but betrayed his loyalty to Asmodeus and changed sides in the Blood War. Too greedy by half. He failed to equal Malekith's success. It could be argued they share a portfolio. Ooh. Yeah. The point of the lower planes is to meet monsters that nobody can kill. You have to avoid them, or better yet, trick them or make friends with them. That's another feature that is a problem for players that often happens where if you meet a demon lord outside of their realm, you can't permanently kill them. You have to go to their plane. And if you go to perma kill a demon lord, and if you go to the plane, they're master of their realm, which makes them badasses, right? Now, of course, if you stat it, they will kill it. Okay. And we also have the idea that it's constant turmoil, and demon the abyss and demon lords and devils too kind of represent classic fist in the air, I'll get you heroes, mark my words, return of the evil bad guy. And so if you really want to make a villain in canon that really can't be destroyed, just can be imprisoned, cast away, discorporated, cast down into a pit to return yet again into your adventurers' lives. Using demon lords and trying to use some of the canon actually makes a lot of sense. Come up with some funky name, make them a demon lord of some evil bullshit, right? And you have yourself a built-in lich phylactery style defeat evil, but one day it will come back. But we'll band together and be heroes, and we're gonna have another campaign, and then Sophie Sophs. I know, but the show's not over yet. I know you're the producer. Yes. I know cat videos get a lot of views, Kitty. You're right. But yeah, but not today. All right. So, also, um, if you want to come into this in media res, I think um, having demon lords, princes. Mike brings up making friends with demon lords and such. Some of them throughout we know about, like Tiamat being cast down and imprisoned in hell. We know about Demogorgon and Orcus and a bunch of these other your top 10 favorite demon lords, and the players may meet them or be introduced to their plight and media res. Some of them have been cast out or captured or discorporated or trapped on another plane, or for some reason they've made the decision to leave their location. They have an avatar that's on the prime material plane acting in some kind of way. Maybe the abyss is a great place to have. Sophie, you really want attention. Sit. Come here. Come on. Sit down. Come on. Yeah. Yes, so yes. All right. So Mike says if Baphomet, demon prince of minotaurs, and oh shit, Yenoghu, the demon prince of gnolls hate each other so much that they'll attack each other on sight. Why aren't minotaurs and gnolls perpetually at war? Discuss. Here's the reason why. It it's a piece of lore that I feel like that thread isn't pulled on, and players might even you know this is often a very easy way to get players to be the cause of a problem, and then they have to solve that problem. So sometimes the players are like, we're going to defeat the goblinoid hordes. They defeat the goblinoid hordes and come to find out that by doing that, the goblinoid hordes were the balancing factor because of some other evil entities. And now the players have to fill the gap of the goblinoid hordes, which pulls them into um, a greater battle. Demon lords are kind of the same way. Blood war, they're all going after each other. Players defeat the demon lord of gnolls. Let's see if I can pronounce it again, or butcher the pronunciation. Noghu, and the PCs are like, yeah, we got rid of the demon lord of gnolls, and then come to find out that Baphomet, the demon prince of minotaurs, is like, yeah, we should have dinner together. I like you guys. So now I get to move on to yet another plane of existence. And then on the prime material plane, like, now we can wipe out the gnolls because we've hated each other and all that kind of stuff. So you can tell some other stories where the players are like, oh no, we actually disrupted the balance of the blood war, and now we have to fix it some kind of way. Does that mean putting a demon lord back on their throne? Does it mean the players move down into the abyss and have to sail back and forth with buying a I don't know, an obsidian travel pass for the river Styx, and going like, oh, here's my monthly pass. We have to keep going back and forth or something. Um, do they try to backstab a demon lord, knowing the demon lord knows they're going to be backstabbed, and backstab the PCs first, but they have to work together? Deadman says there are settings where minotaurs and gnolls are at war, and also maybe the players get to see behind the curtain of reality. So the wars happening in your setting, there could be a constant conflict between different races and monsters and entities, and the players get to look behind the curtain and go, oh, that's why Behirs and dragons don't like each other, because of fill in the blank, right? Um, let's see. Druden says, Sophie Soph tries to tell you she wants to become a demoness herself to be put in our game so that more people worship her. Uh, it would be you can't see her from this angle. I should try to make a kitty cam, because if I make a kitty cam, you'd be able to see her. But she's just wedged herself between the chair and my ass. My ass is warm, and I think the chair is warm too. So it's funny you should mention that. The Red Sun Connate for hobgoblins are the barrier that prevents the broken waste of gnolls from breaking into Western Thrall, which is my homebrew game. Yep, yeah, exactly, right. Like there's a reason. I mean, we can come up with. There's a reason why there are goblinoid hordes. You trying to use something very basic, right? Hobgoblins, bugbears, orcs, and it's like they've taken over, I don't know, the red wastes or something. We have to stop them, and then go in. And as an example, PCs go in, they fight goblinoids. They're tier 1 characters. When they move up to tier 2, they go, "Oh shit, we created a problem. Damn it!" The Desert of Desolation adventure series, for going back for us old grognards, us old dudes, the Desert of Desolation series starts out. This is kind of railroady, with the players in media res falling in, discovering a crypt, going into the crypt, opening up or rubbing a genie bottle and releasing an Efreet. Then to stop that, they then open up another one to release a Jinn. Those two begin battling like gods, and they turn the desert landscape into the Sea of Glass. And there's a whole adventure series called the Desert of Desolation series. There's 3 adventure modules where they literally sail on ships that use ice skates sailing across a sea of glass because an Efreet and a Jinn have been battling over this desert region, and the entire region was disrupted. A little railroady in the beginning. No, not real railroady. It is railroady. It's very prescriptive, but they wanted to make it that the players want to solve it because it kind of is the player's fault instead of making it a third party. But whatever. I think it's cool to have a sailing craft with ice skates on the bottom. Um, Deadman says Spelljammer had an entire crystal sphere where Minotaurs and Gnolls were in a constant war. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And it makes perfect sense, right? Like if you want to run a game and here side note, they talk about the Blood War, but I don't see too many examples of a literal battlefield. What would um extra planar battle be like with a battlefield? And the Abyss could be a great way for you as a game master to find some maybe rules where the players are leaders in a battle, or they are trying to navigate through a plane of existence where there's a battle between two entities. And listen, all of the abyssal lords are battling each other for some perceived notion or reasoning or something like that. And so what a great way for the players to take sides or not take sides or to try to navigate. And then yeah, Sea of Glass is such an evocative name. Yes, I love it too. Yeah, it's a in hindsight, I think some of it is a little bit overwritten, but if and I don't have the adventures anymore, but I did run them, and they're pretty. It's pretty interesting. Basically, the players have to navigate from. They have to figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle, and that's the MacGuffin of the adventure. They have to find, the Efreet and the Jinn are not. They're not statted. They're like gods, and we can be very creative with our abyssal lords and all their thralls, all of their underlings and minions by mixing and matching a ton of stuff. Like just put Knoll in front of a bunch of other factors. A Knoll like Rakshasa, a Knoll like Yanti with multiple arms, Knoll like were creatures that become even more bestial and they can rage out with same stat blocks, right? A Knoll like Baylor or Pit Fiend or other kinds of devils. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you get my point. Hell, a Knoll like Succubus or Incubus, where their natural state is to be a Knoll, but they can be, they literally rip their skin off and shed it with some kind of blood and gristle left behind as they shed their fur off and become something very enticing. And then once they they mount one of our PCs, they then transform or something. Although, don't kink shame. Some PCs might be like, yeah, I'm down for this. Can I play that character? Also, going into telling stories, because we got a lot of time here to figure out why we would tell stories and how we can tell stories. Again, the fetch quest going to find someone's spirit that got shoved down into the abyss and shouldn't be there. And so we have a great excuse for getting new, if a player character or a character dies, how to get them back. They've been chained up, they've been imprisoned or being tortured, and we can throw in brand new characters, resurrect old characters that we've had before. Maybe we had a person in our game that hasn't been in our game in a long time, and maybe they're getting shuffled, sold, bought, traded, escaped, running for their lives, hiding, lost their memory down in the abyss. They show up, hey, this person went overseas or had to go to school or got a new job, but their schedule changed and they want to come back. Guess what? They were in a cage over top of a pit of acid or something for a millennium or something. And they're just like, I don't remember my past. And of course, we get them out. Their magic items and equipment happen to be nearby. Don't ask the question. It just happens to be a thing, right? Maybe we get a chance to reflavor, reskin. If you want to do an abyssal adventure, reflavor, reskin, reuse the stuff we already have. Are paladins? Do paladins have to be good? And I'm talking a pure abyssal adventure. No, make paladins black and red armor with flames and stuff like that. Go ahead and change it. Who cares? Maybe the power to strike with radiance is a very rare but useful power that is used by abyssal. I'm not going to call them paladins. I'm going to call them um, oath. I don't know, what would you call them? Um, Oath binders, word binders, or something like that. Like, it wouldn't be an oath that they take because they feel that it's good. It's one that's like written across their flesh and it's burned into their soul. And once they make that promise, they have to keep it, right? Maybe the paladins are more like warlocks. How about monks down in the abyss? Maybe there's monks literally having arena fights, battling and wrestling and doing battle with monsters and striking them in particular areas, ripping their horns off, grabbing their tails and twisting them into knots, and then grabbing their forked tongues and ripping it out of their throats with all of their internal organs. And then everyone's like, "Yay!" The monk's like standing over their destroyed body, and then just a little bit, the tongue is like, "I'll get you back for that." As they try to reform after 1,001 days, and like, yeah, okay, we'll see, because I'm a badass MMA fighter. Hell, a monk could be a meditative um, beacon in a world of chaos, much like being able to meditate in pandemonium. And they might be cult leaders in many ways. What's some other stuff I'm trying to think? Wizards having spell books made from the flesh of the dead that are brought here, literally carving the spells onto the backs of people that were petitioners cast down into the abyss, and then the flesh is then ripped off of their bodies. I mean, lots of body horror, lots of those kind of things. If your players don't want to be edge lords and they want to be good, maybe they just happen to be an enclave of good people trapped down in the abyss, and they're like, we've traveled the river Styx and we just keep going deeper and deeper. We're goodly people and no one's giving us a way out, and all the evil entities are like, nah, we're just going to leave you down here to slowly erode away um your goodness, feeding from it, or whatever. um Player characters could be used by evil entities, meaning like, um, the evil entities are using them as pawns, good heroes, to push them against other evil entities, right? Orcus is like, I don't want you coming on my level. Go down to go down to the other levels or something. And again, making those friends with other uh, uh, evil entities down here, though temporary, being able to survive on a plane of ooze, pure acid, of a plane of acid rain, or the plane of being destroyed by insects or madness, and all the other kind of body horror kind of things, um, which could also be side effects like, hey, your healing spells work down here, but oh, guess what? If you do that, you're also making them grow eyes or limbs off of where they've been injured, or you're not just healing their body, you're healing you're healing the infestations into them and such, and they have to maybe go to another layer to find a cure for it. So anyway, let's see what you guys have to say. Mike's is like paladin. Other names would be like champion, knight, chosen, aspirant. Exactly. And what I mean by all this is like, read a barbarian, maybe a literal barbarian down in the abyss, is a character that can harness the hate and evil and rage down there. And when they barbarian rage, they literally catch on fire, or like smoke is like coming from their skin, and their skin turns like a ruddy red. They literally grow horns and such. You could come up with all kinds of things. Even the races, instead of halflings, they could be a small fey-like imp, quasit styled creatures down in the abyss. Just reflavor them. Humans. You want to play a human down in the abyss? You come up with a reason why you're down here. You don't even remember why you're down here. Maybe somebody else comes up with it. You could always have ties to the mortal realm. Like, what were you before you got down here? What evil What evil thing did you do that is causing you as a player to have to forge a way out of this realm? You know, martyrdom is a very heroic act in terms of doing evil things, right? Like, oh, I don't expect to go to the upper planes. I'm sacrificing my very soul. Yes, we talked about Andor and Luthen and his speech, right? Hey, I burn my soul. I'm not going to go through the whole quote, but you get the point, right? Maybe the players are like, no, we literally committed evil acts for the sole purpose of getting our souls drawn down into the abyss so that we could do battle with the things down here, if for no other reason than to keep the blood war from spilling out of the abyss. That I think would be a great campaign idea. And maybe even maybe the end of the campaign is the players finally coming to terms with what they've done and asking for forgiveness. Kind of like Constantine. You can't buy your way into heaven, uh, but you can get there when you finally realize you have to do something out of the goodness of your heart. It's not a transactional thing. Mike says, to spare PC's lives, I might have PCs have their consciousness travel from eternal war participant to participant. Yeah. They experience war after war, from Avernus to Acheron to the Abyss. When they return, they'll be leveled up mentally, but not conditioned physically. A great way to show high level content to new characters, then coming back to bodies at, say, level 3 to start the campaign. Wow. But now other beings know they exist and they must act to prevent these wars from bleeding into their homeworld. And that sounds awesome, right? Like, yeah, it's the original idea of the planes of existence was kind of to explain, like, when a player character dies, where does their spirit go? Where does this, if there is a soul, where does that soul travel to? And what they originally designed it like, oh, well, if you're lawful good, you go to the lawful good realm. If you're chaotic neutral, you go to the chaotic neutral realm. And 9 planes of existence isn't enough. Players can vacillate their alignment. It's written into the rules that players can change their alignment, and there were magic items and types of magic that would change alignment as we went along. So the interstitial, the intermediary between lawful good and neutral good, there's another plane of existence, and explain that. Well, who's to say that a great ritual? Okay, I'm going to not steal. I'm going to Mike. I'm going to use your idea. Maybe a coming of age story, a level 1 adventure is young people coming of age, and they have to go through a ritual, and they drink the herb, they smell the incense, they go into a meditative state. Once they go to meditative state, the entire adventure, high level adventure, is them going through the lower planes for the ritual to end, for them to come back into their minds 30 seconds after going through the ritual at home. And now they're coming of age and they're like, oh shit, we looked into the abyss and it looked right back at us. And now they know who we are and they're preparing themselves for us. We need to prepare ourselves. And that cycle could keep going and going. So they're, you know, like killing a demon lord on the prime material plane, sending it back to them. Who's to say human beings can't travel into lower planes to be killed, to come back to the prime material plane, back to wake up from their lotus position or something like that. So I like that idea. And we can also make all kinds of other excuses, right? Who's to say that their spirit, the spiritual part of the characters, like you mentioned, Mike, isn't going into other beings in the lower planes? Maybe you don't want the characters to make up new characters. Listen, you're playing a demon. Pick one. Here's 5 examples. Pick one. This is your character sheet. You got this stat block. Go play that demon or something, and then you give them a personality. And then when the PCs make their own characters, oh, by the way, guys, how you role played them, that's the bad guy in the campaign. Like, what you did is what that demon lord or demon entity did, and now they're your enemy. And all the successes, air quote successes, you did as evil entities, Yeah, those are the real successes of the bad guys. You're going to play your own bad guys against you. And yeah, that staff of power that you acquired, that demon lord now has a staff of power, and you're going to have to go up against them. And you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been as devious and successful, right? That would be pretty awesome. Also, closing and opening portals between the different layers of the abyss may be a function. Definitely a type of MacGuffin quest where an ooze lord is going to the different planes, and the PCs are there to stop it. They're the police officers of Planescape, and the entire idea is for the players to go through the different planes of existence, and they players like a police procedural might be trying to keep people in check. You know, trying to keep the celestial war. Trying the PCs are like, go back home, take it easy. I know you're upset. I know you're getting your radiant swords and flaming weapons and all. You're getting your feathers in a tizzy. Go back, take your halos, we'll deal with this. The celestials are like, you better get them, you better punish them. And you're like, don't tell me what to do. And then they go down into the abyss, and it's like, yeah, tell those celestials to go back home. You're like, all right, calm your ass down. you know, we're going to settle this out. All right, listen, you're on the 108th level of the abyss. You're trying to connect to number 463. We're not having that. No, 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 no. Because now 463 is creeping up, and you created the problem. I didn't do it. Demon Lord's like, I didn't do it. Yeah, you did. All right, we're going to help you fix it. But let's just rest assured, you got some souls down here that don't belong here. Yeah, yeah, I know. Don't 53 of them. We've got a list here. You release them, we help you with your problem, everything goes back to normal, right? It could be kind of fun that way too, as like as almost a tongue-in-cheek. There is a little bit of, well, there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek um absurdity in terms of Planescape, and you could really have some fun with that as well. What are some other ideas? Players, if you really want them to be edge lords, they could be thinking, playing evil, but thinking outside the box. So there may be elder gods. There may be maybe the players have some knowledge that no one else in the multiverse has, and the players have knowledge that literal deities and demon lords and demigods don't have. And of course, being of such great power, they're like, we're arrogant. There's no way some mere mortal like or even lower plane like creatures or beings or petitioners, there's no way you have knowledge above us. And the PCs are like, oh no, we need to band together because the elder gods are going to be here, and they're going to drive everyone. They're going to sweep across the entire plane. As a matter of fact, you can even pick I have the Monty Cook kickstarted Plane Breaker. Something like Plane Breaker could be happening in your multi-dimensional Planescape world. For those who don't know, Plane Breaker is the idea that a meteoric extra-dimensional periodically blasts through all the planes of existence, and the comet tail is like debris from the different planes it goes through. And in petitioners and natives of different dimensions look up at this, basically this spinning comet of interplanar destruction blast through, and you can get sucked up into it, or even kind of almost like psychically reach up into it to travel. And so maybe there's some kind of the great Modron march of trying to put the planes back together could be a type of thing where we're literally just now finishing rebuilding the destruction, the mixing and matching of the planes of existence to put them back in order. And here comes a big giant fist, boom, punches through the planes of existence, and the PCs are like trying to physically and spiritually and psychically and arcanely put things back together again. It's like the nine hells might be literally right next to Celestia in the upper planes. Like, no, 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 we got to put this back in order, guys. Don't get too comfortable with this, right? The End King says, if we're talking about paladins and the abyss, I've been imagining a good aligned person fighting for so long in the abyss that they look different when they leave. Yeah, yeah. They probably have done things that they probably aren't proud of. Or let me take this. Let's let's bring this into um, something that Drew might be interested in. Right, um, soldiers and people that have suffered trauma suffer survivor's guilt. Many people in battle and war feel like they don't deserve to come back home. That they are it's the classic lone warrior that has consumed so much evil. I'm talking about Wolverine and Logan. I'm talking about many of the classic westerns of the gunslinger, where the gunslinger has killed so many people. They really don't deserve to settle down and have a great life. Now they'll do it for other people, and I can imagine a paladin down in the abyss, like they think themselves that they can't go back home, and they're literally fighting an eternal war externally and internally, and they're like their armor's like blackened and like crusted with blood and stuff, and they're literally kicking ass and taking names, and it's just like, I mean, they're just encrusted with like scarring and stuff like that, and their weapon is like a flickering lantern as their souls trying to reignite it, and it's just like and it's like they see a horde of demons as they're standing on the piles of the dead ones already, and they're like, okay, let's keep going. I'm going to keep going back. I think an image like that with players standing on like a mountain of dead bodies, and there's just another horde coming after them just sounds really cool. Mike says, lost souls traveling the multiverse, finding either misplaced worlds or invasive extraplanar beings on the wrong plane and sending them home. Yep. Giving them a ticket. Like, there's like lost planar creatures on other planes they don't belong on. They're like, what's going on? They're like, come on here, come here, buddy. Here's your ticket back home. I know it's really strange. I know it feels really good. Could you imagine like a pit fiend on the upper planes of goodness looking around like, damn, this is what this place is like? They've been the propaganda down in the evil planes made it seem like I'd be treated terribly. This is kind of cool. I like it up here. Damn. Uh-oh. Shai says plane breaker, an apocalyptic event that sweeps through planes. Sounds like some new 5e shit to explain away how they retconned and ruined everything in 2e because the new guys never read the books. I see you folding your arms and pouting. No, Planebreaker is a third party. Well, Monty Cook did he? I don't know if he had any writing in Planescape, but he was a insider. But Planebreaker is not. It's a third party element book and kind of thing. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's Planebreaker is a yet another excuse to go through the different planes of existence and have some fun with it. So, yeah. Mike says, to paraphrase Nietzsche, a monster I am, least a monster I become. That's the byproduct of fighting in the blood war as a mortal. Yeah, yeah, you physically become changed. Hell, you could. Who's to say that an ally in the blood war isn't another demon or devil or Yugloth or Tanari or Batsu that is evil simply because they were a good mortal who sacrificed themselves to come down here and have done so many evil things, and they're fighting in the blood war literally to keep evil down in the evil planes. And yeah, they torture people and they're all evil, but they're like, I'm doing this because no one else is going to do it. And yeah, I've had to do some things I regret that I've had to do, but better me than somebody else. And they keep fighting, and the PCs are like, wow, I actually agree with this person, you know? Yeah. The End King, a pit fiend dreaming of what he saw up. Okay, I got to do the voice. A pit fiend dreaming of what he saw. Up there is so much room where babies burp and flowers bloom. Yeah. And it comes back down in the evil realms, and they're like, stop it, don't say these things. All kinds of demons, like, ah. There's a really cool piece of artwork. I don't remember the artist, but there's a really cool piece of artwork where you see a horde of demons all scared, and there's one demon or devil or fiendish creature with a pair of pliers, and there's a small flower growing in the evil abyssal plane, and they're like trying, everyone's scared to touch it, and they're trying to pick the little flower. This pit fiend comes back with like stars in their eyes and like smelling of jasmine, and having recipes for drinking mint julep or something, and it's like, you smell like, do you smell like newborn baby? And the pit fiend's like, yeah, you smell, like, yeah. It, is that, let me smell your breath again. Is that a summer breeze? Oh man, I saw, it was amazing. And the pit fiend starts changing a little bit. Instead of red and fiery, it's like starting to have like butterflies floating off of his chest and shoulders. Like, this is it. It was kind of, you have to see this. And they're like, get him out of here. We've been working on propaganda for years. Kick that pit fiend out. Pit fiend's like, but I want to just share it with you guys. It felt really good. Deadman says in 1994, Monty came to TSR Incorporated as a game designer and wrote for the Planescape and core D&D lines. That's how he knows so much about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That, and I'm sure him writing Planescape. I'm sorry, him writing Plane Breaker was his way of like, how do I get around not getting sued, but come up with my own thing, and yet make it a thing that I probably wanted to work on, right? Like, that's probably it. And mind you, we can come up with our own, like the elder gods with a big giant tentacled grasp, lording over literally all of the planes of existence, like a Thanos Galactus style entity coming to destroy all the planes of existence. If you say that, yeah, then it's true. Yeah. Shai says, okay, good. Any excuse to go through all the planes is always welcome. Why else would anyone visit Bitopia and the Beastlands and Elysium and Olympus and all the other planes that suck? All right, edgy. No, there's actually there's some fun to be had on the upper planes. Maybe not so much in the lawful good plane, but there's some fun to be had. You get a little bit lawful good, and it's more um introspective to travel up them. But yeah, but sure. Yeah. Tieflings have expanded content for Origins, but I really missed out on Yugoloths. Yeah. I homebrewed one as well as one for Night Hags and Succubi, like a Tiefling Yugoloth mercenaries traveling the plains. There's your band of brothers for the lower plains. I like that. I like that a lot. And of course they've tried to, depending on your iteration of tieflings, they're not all from the nine hells. They can have different aspects of them from the different types of fiendish creatures. So for those who don't know, there are fiendish creatures that are far more than just only lawful evil or only chaotic evil, only devils or only demons. There are ones in the middle, such as the Slods, the Yugoloths, or the what were used to be called the Daemons, Daemons. I had to say Daemons to make it different than demon. What were some of the other lower plane creatures? Fuck, I can't think of any of them. Well, and also tangentially, minotaurs, gnolls, hobgoblins, orcs. Like tangentially, a lot of them had a oh, what are the lamprey Sahuagin, shark people, the lamprey faced beings as well. I can't think of them. Anyway, a lot of them also had tangentially evil plane associations because the deities of those humanoid creatures or goblinoid creatures and the demigods and demon lords of them lived down there. So we had more than that, and having tieflings associated with some of those would have been kind of cool, but yeah, they didn't do it. Yeah, yeah. Thaco you can ignore. 2E has the real Planescape and Dark Sun books before the enshittification befell the awesomeness. Yeah, we talked about enshittification yesterday, about how like on one side it starts out good for the user, and on the other side it starts out good for the business people, and then in the middle is the person that created it and just starts twisting the screws, and then everybody gets screwed over. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for allowing me to go into a literal deep dive into a moist hole of the abyss. I know all of you like get it going down deep into my hole, and I really appreciate you guys being there, having fun. Uh, bring your favorite beverages and a moist towelette. It's all lemonade and chocolate. I don't taste it. That's up to you guys. No, but in all seriousness, just having fun with it and understanding what it's about is pretty fun. And as an introduction to Planescape as well, for people who aren't who like know about it, but they kind of don't know about it. Maybe tomorrow I'll read a passage from one of my Planescape books because the Planescape books were written from the voice of unreliable narrators. And so there's a lot of slang that was used that's been dropped in the current fifth edition. But there was some really cool immersive slang along with that very identifiable artwork that really pulled us into the world of Planescape that made it completely different than Dark Sun and Al Qadim and Greyhawk and Mystara and all these kind of places. And to have the language, for those who you guys know, if you're Shy Squad and those who know, you guys remember slang terms like a body, Burks, um, what's is tomorrow Obsidian? Oh, tomorrow is Friday, isn't it? I lose I lose track. Yeah, tomorrow. Maybe I should do. Should I go? So you tell me. I've been doing a travel from the stars. We got to Jupiter. Should we go to Saturn? The diamond in the sky, or should I talk about other things like technology? Let's keep this. Let's do the planets. Let's go to Saturn. So we'll do Saturn tomorrow. Oh, let me allow me. Let's see if I can share this out and see if you guys kind of like what I've done here. Um, so I was working on a logo, and yes, I can share this out. All right, so let's share this screen. Let's share the screen. Cause I'm nothing but a Luddite. So let's get this a little bit bigger, shall we? And let's see if I can. Will it hold? Will it hold? No, it won't hold. Okay. Um, so this just happens to be a logo I'm working on and trying to get it. I'm going to move it around a little bit because it looks like you can't read it, but I like the idea that you can't kind of read the OB and the obsidian, and even the D looks kind of funky. But I like the idea that you kind of have to do like a double take on it. So anyway, these are some examples of um, of the logo and the different things. Black, white, gray, red. You know, whatever. Just change the colors. Um, that kind of thing. So just see what you guys think about it. Boop, 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 boop. The demi-plane of infinite hangovers awaits at the end of the next fraction of eternity. Yeah. Gulp, burp, burp, burp. Shai says, yes, please stick to Sci-Fi Friday and do Obsidian Star. Okay. All right. Where the gas demons await. The plane of farts. Hey, we did troglodytes. We did talk about a little the plane where the home of troglodytes. I feel like troglodytes are kind of like this the mistreated stepchildren of 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 humanoids, evil humanoids. Because trogs haven't really been. Oh, it looks neat, especially with the red. Let me go back here. So let's see if we can get this one. There's a red background, but I really like this because it kind of looks a little bloody. That's with a black background, and this is with a white background. Um, and then I tried to get design wise. I am not a designer, so trying to design a logo. So I wanted to have like the words over top and the stars behind it. i.e., black stars, obsidian star, and then I wanted a star field. So, but I wanted you to be able to see it, so I put it off to the side, and then I decided to add the lines in, the directional lines, as if there's motion, like it's like shooting through space to give it activity, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to modify this with maybe some words underneath it, like obsidian star, a post-human art tabletop RPG, or maybe I might even shorten it to a like or something like Obsidian Star with my name underneath, like DBJ or Davabrian Jackson underneath it, or something like I may do that. And I even tried to layer the stars, so you can see like there's the black star with the gray star kind of zipping over top of it, but it's kind of like it's, what do you call, the points of the star kind of go behind it. So yeah, I tried to play with it a little bit. I might move it, but I like where I placed it, kind of. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm not a logo designer, but yeah. I mean, demons who are gaseous or non-corporeal, so they can walk on Saturn. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Um, I've been absorbing so much um, real world information about the planets in our galaxy, in our own galaxy, damn it, our own solar system, that it's pretty interesting. Like Uranus, or maybe my anus, and Neptune are known as ice giants, not gas giants. That the rings around Saturn are no more than 30 meters thick. Um, After imagery has gone by, I always thought the rings around Saturn were thicker, more like millions of giant moon-like structures, but they also have moons. And Uranus and Neptune also have rings around them. It's really weird. Anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy. I love it. So I'm being inspired by the very thing that I always thought I was being inspired by in the first place. So, but anyway, thank you very much for tolerating my deep dives into how I think and want to create and stuff. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Tomorrow, yes, it will be Obsidian. Will be Obsidian Star. We'll get into it. I love anyway. Um, I, Maybe one of these days I will do a live artwork or design thing, because I like to draw, I like to create things. Maybe I can do that at one point, and while I'm doing a live broadcast, so it can be kind of both visual and educational and things. Maybe someone could even come up with a let's see if the emoji will show up. It won't show up. Um, Damn it. Sorry. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, Sci-Fi Friday. If you're not into sci-fi, stop by anyway. You might be inspired. So again, as I've been leaving these things, your time is valuable. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here. I hope in that regard, I can give you some change in how you develop and that kind of thing. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Um, maybe we might do one more day of the abyss, one or two more days of the abyss, maybe next week. But we're going to go into the upper planes and scrape ourselves some interesting encounters, if we will, instead of just seeing a bunch of angels flying around. So, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and tranquility.